My Hero Academia chapter 413. The plan is to just give Shigaraki one for all? We're just gonna hand it over, or a part of it over, without ever testing this before? Okay. What could go wrong? What's up? It's Truth Hero, and welcome back to this My Hero Academia chapter 413 review. Let's discuss the three biggest takeaways from this chapter. 1. All for one and one for all quirk's resonance. 2. The plan to actually transfer the second user Kudo and his quirk to Shigaraki. And 3. Of course, what could go wrong in this plan? Listen, I'm not a gambling man, but even if I was, I don't know that I'd have the courage to make the bet that Kudo is right now. Sponsored by DraftKings. Boku no Hero Academia chapter 413 opens with a vision All Might is having since All for One is resonating with One for All. Star and Stripe explains, Deku is right, that sad child Tenko still exists within the darkness that is Shigaraki. All Might notes that the power that has been passed through the generations is becoming frayed. He can't see him, he can't hear him, the comms are out and he can't communicate with him, but he knows Deku is still fighting. Shigaraki also thinks of Star and Stripe here, and it's perplexing because, as he notes, he clearly destroyed her entirely. So how is this possible? Perhaps Star and Stripe, in some weird way, is actually one of the keys to defeating All for One and the consciousness it has within Shigaraki with One for All from the inside. This doesn't, however, explain how Star and Stripe is able to still persist. Perhaps she is in this wound, which we will discuss, which they plan on exploiting inside Shigaraki. Perhaps there's a fragment of her left in it. But again, it still doesn't explain to me how Star and Stripe was able to affect Shigaraki so deeply psychologically that she has cut him mentally. I mean, it's hard for me to believe that she could traumatize him with just her really powerful quirk. I mean, have you seen Tenko's past and all that he's lived through, all that Shigaraki has done? It doesn't really seem as traumatic, but apparently she has scarred Shigaraki psychologically. It's also interesting that Shigaraki seems excited that Star and Stripe is still an Ember. Now maybe Shigaraki's getting greedy here and wants Star and Stripe's quirk, or maybe he has a plan to take it. Once Shigaraki gets One for All from Deku, maybe he's thinking, hey, I'll finally have enough power to be able to handle Star and Stripe's quirk. The last time he tried it, he was ripped apart. But if he has One for All, perhaps he can contain this power. Let me know down below in the comments. If Star and Stripe is within Shigaraki's consciousness, or a memory, or she's a vestige as one of these phantoms, is it possible for Shigaraki to take her quirk? And even scarier, use it with One for All if he gets that from Deku. Regardless of what quirks he gets, Kudo notes that when Shigaraki merged with All for One and his consciousness, he became too powerful for Deku or anyone to challenge in a fight. They must attack him mentally. The second user explains that in order to strike at this wound and attack Shigaraki's consciousness from the inside, they must transfer One for All to Shigaraki, or as he told Deku previously, you need to let go of One for All. The fourth user doesn't follow this logic. Yeah, I don't either. You're just gonna give him your Gearshift, Kudo? We get a nice flashback to when Deku is training with All Might and imagining One for All as the egg in the microwave, balancing how much force he uses. Kudo explains that the fourth user, Shinomori, a single quirk among the One for All quirk, was stolen, then it follows that a single quirk factor can also be transferred. The plan is to have Deku transfer Kudo to Shigaraki, but with enough force to break him, thus allowing Kudo to infiltrate Shigaraki, but not allowing Shigaraki to access Gearshift. Because the One for All quirk factors are much stronger than normal quirks, if they do this right, Kudo should shatter and cause massive damage to that psychological wound Shigaraki has. The win-win is, even if Shigaraki gets Kudo's quirk for a little while and is able to use Gearshift, he'll eventually suffer that recoil that Deku is right now, and Deku having just forcefully transferred that quirk to Shigaraki will now no longer suffer the recoil. And in this fight, where Deku can't move, gaining that mobility back is paramount. This is still one huge bet on this big move. I mean, even Bruce doubts his fearless leader here. I like Nana mentioning that Deku is conflicted, not because he wants to selfishly retain One For All and his quirks, but he doesn't want to just simply throw away this treasure All Might gave to him. Really illustrates how genuine Deku has always been about just being a hero and trying to help people. It's never been about fame or glory or power, or even just having a quirk. He's always done all of these things and wanted to help even before he got One For All. Another panel I love is Yuichi saying goodbye to Kudo, the man who spared his life. Goodbye, my hero. As Deku agrees to the plan, it's also decided that Banjo will be the last vestige to remain with Deku. Black Whip will serve as his movement and lifeline. I like this because 1, it's practical. It is a way to move when you can't move the muscles in your body. And 2, Banjo was the first vestige Deku met, so it's only fitting that he's the last one to be with Deku in this crazy plan. Deku, props to him. I mean, he's honestly amazing here for sticking it out through the pain. In this last panel, as Deku is puppeting his body with Black Whip, we see Kudo and the spark of his quirk in Deku's hand. Deku is ready to transfer the second user to Shigaraki. Woohoo, this is gonna be fun. But will this bet actually pay off? I think the answer is yes, but not initially. As we know, it usually gets worse before it gets better. I think Deku will successfully find a way to transfer Kudo into Shigaraki without Shigaraki realizing his plan. Little asterisk there, I'll get to that in a second. But I don't think Kudo is necessarily going to shatter on impact. I think something's going to go wrong, and this could be beneficial. Kudo could do some damage while he's still conscious in the One For All For One quirk from the inside, but I do believe for a period of time that Shigaraki will get Kudo's Gearshift, and he's going to have insane power. I don't know how Deku is going to fight him or even get out of his way, even without the recoil affecting his body anymore. Number 2 is the asterisk I mentioned, the little star next to that explanation, and there's actually 2 parts to that. One is the quirk that Shigaraki has, which is Shinomori's Danger Sense. What if Danger Sense tips Shigaraki off to this plan? He knows they're mumbling about something, so what if Shigaraki senses that Deku is trying to do something sneaky here? I know Danger Sense obviously warns the person of incoming danger like the Spidey Sense, but is it limited to the fact that, hey, this guy might punch me in the face with Black Whip? Could Shigaraki sense that Deku is hiding something? It's not mind reading, but he could be tipped off to Deku trying to actually touch him or trying to be touched by Shigaraki to put himself in a vulnerable place to where he could transfer Kudo to Shigaraki. The second part of that little star is Shinomori. Let's assume for a second that Shinomori's consciousness is somewhere, the phantom of him is somewhere inside Shigaraki, even though he's not active right now. Once Kudo gets transferred to Shigaraki, and assuming he doesn't shatter, like Shinomori isn't gone, the two of them might resonate and talk together. This would activate the other vestiges as well, and that might make it hard for Deku to transfer any more of the factors to Shigaraki. Lastly, this chapter does set up the scenario where Deku could defeat Shigaraki and have no quirks left. He could defeat him by transferring all the quirk factors in One For All to Shigaraki, thus breaking him from the inside. It's going to be really interesting because 1, Deku will become the greatest hero, la la la, we've already heard it before, but it doesn't say anything about him having quirks at the end of this journey. And 2, Shimura Nana could be transferred into Shigaraki, and she could play an important role in stopping her grandson. I think that'd be probably the most interesting family reunion I've ever seen. But let me know in the comments what you guys think. Will they be successful in this plan of transferring users and their factors into Shigaraki? And what will go wrong? Because it's never as straightforward as you think it's going to be. If you guys like these My Hero Academia chapter reviews and My Hero Academia content, consider enrolling at UA today by subscribing. And until next time, Plus Ultra.